of globalization.
President Trump's overseas trip took him from Saudi Arabia to Israel, to the Vatican, and to Europe. Our Robin Curnow has a look now at some of the moments that stood out during the president's 8 days overseas.
Mr. Trump's first trip abroad began with a lavish welcome in Saudi Arabia. Then, in a speech to leaders of more than 50 Muslim-majority nations, he steered clear of the term radical Islamic terrorism, but urged Arab leaders to drive terrorists out.
Drive them out of your holy land and drive them out of this earth.
In Israel, Mr. Trump became the first sitting U.S. president to visit several holy sites in the old city of Jerusalem, including the Western Wall. In a meeting with Israel's Prime Minister, Mr. Trump pushed back against reports he had shared Israeli intelligence about ISIS with Russian officials during an Oval Office meeting earlier this month.
Just so you understand, I never mentioned the word or the name Israel.
Later, with the Palestinian president, Mr. Trump condemned the terror attack in Manchester, coming up with his own label for those responsible.
I will call them from now on losers, because that's what they are. They're losers.
On Wednesday, a highly anticipated meeting with Pope Francis at the Vatican. While they publicly disagree on issues from climate change to refugees, their face-to-face meeting seemed very cordial.
Thank you very much.
On to Brussels, and at his first NATO summit, Mr. Trump made a brash first impression, elbowing his way past the Prime Minister of Montenegro, engaging in a power handshake with France's new president, and openly scolding member countries that Mr. Trump says aren't meeting their financial obligations to the alliance.
23 of the 28 member nations are still not paying what they should be paying and what they are supposed to be paying for their defense. This is not fair to the people and taxpayers of the United States.
But Mr. Trump was also left embarrassed after British officials expressed outrage, blaming the US for leaking details about the Manchester bombing investigation to the media.
I will be making clear to President Trump today that intelligence that is shared between law enforcement agencies must remain secure.
And at Friday's G7 summit in Sicily, Mr. Trump sat next to German Chancellor Angela Merkel, but separately had some tough talk for the US ally. German news reports quoted Mr. Trump as saying the Germans are very bad when it comes to trade. Robin Curnow, CNN.